All right, welcome back to another edition of Rational Wrestling Talk. This is Irrational Wrestling Mark, and I'm going to be talking about Bayley's face turn and how it's going to be special. When Damage Control eventually turn on Bayley, it's going to be very special for Bayley when she does, get to be a babyface again, when the crowd reacts the way they do, because the fans know that Bayley is going to get turned on by her own group. They know it's coming. Bayley doesn't know it, but Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Io, Kyrie, Asuka, they're all in it. They know what they're going to do. They know that they're going to turn on Bayley eventually when the time is right. And when it does happen, watch out for the reaction. Watch out when Bayley comes back to the so-called, the good side, right? And she's back to being that huggable, NXT Bayley, right? With the headbands. She goes back to that Bayley. Now, I'm not a fan of Bayley at all. I was actually never a fan of her personally, but I understood how important she was to NXT and to the fans at the time. I saw how valuable she was as a babyface when she was the NXT Women's Champion. And she was crazy over. If you remember her run down in NXT, the Black and Gold brand, when Triple H was running shop, and he was in charge of molding the next generation of pro wrestlers. I don't think anybody would have thought that Bayley would have been, someone very popular in NXT at the time. So when that face turn eventually comes, because that's something Triple H has been wanting to do since debuting Damage Control at SummerSlam. A lot of people thought that when Io won the women's title at SummerSlam, they was going to have Bayley and Dakota turn on Io. We thought that Io Sky was going to get Randy Orton, out of, like how Evolution did Randy Orton after he won the world title. They Triple H, Batista, Ric Flair, they turned on him and kicked him out the group. I thought eventually that was going to be Io Sky. And Bayley was going to be behind it, but no. So this is a very interesting storyline that we got our hands on here, because we haven't seen a babyface Bayley in a long time. And the reason why she turned heel from the very beginning was, to begin with, was her face character was very stale. She was getting stale as a character, so it was time for her to switch up and go heel, right? Now, I think personally Damage Control has, stayed past her welcome. But right now, there's a strong story that's developing here. So there's a purpose as to keeping Damage Control on TV, keeping the act alive. Even though they haven't had the most success, right? But the best way to end it all is to kick Bayley out of the group and her transitioning back into NXT Bayley. Since Triple H is running shop, like I said, because if you remember, when Vince was in control running stuff, Bayley was the huggable, lovable, just fangirl type of character. Vince did not know how to book her. Vince did her no favors, right? You saw the difference of how Triple H was booking a babyface Bayley versus how Vince McMahon was booking a babyface Bayley. A complete day and night, right? So Triple H is in the midst of cooking, interesting storylines, angles, and the damage control. Bayley's impending exit from the group is one of those interesting storylines that can culminate at WrestleMania. Now, when it comes to the Women's Royal Rumble, I really don't see anybody winning it except for Bayley. I think this is the Women's Royal Rumble that we need to have an unexpected person win. Because with the Men's Royal Rumble, there's a lot more intrigue. There's a lot more interest going in, a lot of speculation going into that Men's Royal Rumble. There's a lot of unpredictability, which is good. But with the Women's Royal Rumble, there's not a lot of intrigue, right? I mean, I think we don't really care who wins, but I think based off what we're seeing, right, it seems like Bayley should win, right? All signs point to Bayley. Now, Bianca Belair can win the second time, or Becky Lynch could win, right? Personally, I would not have Becky win because she's won it already. And I think the fans would be genuinely happy to see Bayley win the Rumble. And no one would really expect it, right? Because Bayley always loses. She's been losing a lot. And it's done by design. She's losing for a reason. So when she does win the Rumble, it's going to be a bigger deal because the fans may not see it coming. So then it creates intrigue now with Bayley having to choose either Rhea or Io. And in the storyline, they said Bayley should go after Rhea Ripley if she were to win the Rumble, right? So that Damage Control can have all the titles. But there's going to be a twist. Eventually, Bayley is going to choose Io, right? But how that actually happens is with them kicking her out the group. So she's going to keep losing matches, which is going to piss off Io, Kairi, Asuka, Dakota. And it's funny because Dakota Kai is kind of like the spokesperson for the group. And she's doing a lot more talking. Really, it could be Dakota Kai that is setting up Bayley to be turned on, right? Because if you've been paying attention to those backstage segments, Dakota Kai has been basically gaslighting Bayley, right? Every time she goes out there for a match, or someone else from the group will have a match, and she will mess it up for Damage Control. She'll cost one of her team members the match, or she goes out there by herself, or they go out there with her and she loses, right? And they see that she's in trouble and, she needs help, but they're not budging. They're not trying to help Bayley, right? They're just going to allow her to get beaten because, they know that she's a disappointment. They know that she's not the real leader anymore, that, she's, Io would feel Like she's above Bayley. Like she don't need her help. Which is why she brought in Kairi Sane to help her defeat Bianca. You know? And she doesn't want Bayley to take no credit for her success for the reason why she won the women's title. Even though that actually is the reason why she is the women's champion, because of Bayley. Because Bayley helped her. Bayley's been helping her retain. Right? But Bayley can be kicked out the group because she's dead weight, because she's losing a lot. But when they kick her out the group and there's a build-up to it, the fans are going to boo the hell out of Damage Control. There's going to be a lot of heat on Io, Dakota, Kairi, and Asuka. Now, Bayley's face turn, like I said, is going to be special. Because, one, she hasn't been a babyface in years. Two, Triple H is running things, so he knows how to book a babyface Bayley. And back in NXT, Bayley had a very long reign with the title. You know, you could tell that Triple H was a fan of Bayley in NXT. You can tell he was. So, and the fans are they're going to be all over it. They're going to really be behind Bayley for the first time in a long time. Bayley will ditch her current look and go back to her old look. You know? Now it's obvious that it'll be 1 against 4. Now I'm wondering, will they actually kick Dakota Kai out too, along with Bayley? That remains to be seen. But my question is, it'll be Bayley against all 4 members, and who's going to help Bayley combat Damage Control, right? Now, logic would say Sasha Banks, but it doesn't look like she's coming back at all. You could probably say Naomi, who it looks to be wrapping up with TNA, coming back to the E. Because I'm hearing that she's going to be in the Rumble, and she could probably help Bayley out. Who knows? But the main thing here is there is a payoff that needs to happen. And this is eventually going to lead to Bayley being the one to defeat Io for the women's title at WrestleMania. Bayley will finally get her big moment at WrestleMania that she never got to get. So when she does turn face, it'll probably be before WrestleMania, most likely, and this is going to culminate at WrestleMania. Now, me personally, I originally wanted to see Kairi, Io, and Asuka in a triple threat for the women's title. Now, that would have been badass and pretty dope, right? But in order to do that match, you would have to break those 3 girls up. So I don't think they would want to do that too soon. Probably save that for later, right? Because that's an all-Japanese group right there with three of those women. So, yeah. So that's all I got to say about this. Giving my hot take on Bayley's impending face turn. It's going to be special, you know. And you got to give it more time to build up. The build up is everything, and the timing is everything too. You think about Sami Zayn in the Bloodline. You saw the reaction for that. You saw how over that was. That whole angle pretty much renewed Sami Zayn's career. It's the one angle that turned Sami Zayn into a main eventer. This could be Bayley. The same thing could happen with Bayley again, where this storyline is designed to get her over and to make her a top name in the women's division again. So just look out for that. So give me your thoughts down below. Make sure you like the video for the algorithm. Subscribe for more content. This is Irrational Wrestling Mark with another edition of Rational Wrestling Talk. Stay tuned for more content, and I'm out. And peace.